Welcome back to Doing the Math at Home. My name's Tracy Fox. I'm an elementary teacher development specialist, and this is HISD TV at Home. I'm so excited that you were able to join us today as we embark on a review of modeling, creating, and describing contextual multiplication situations. This is much different than what students see in third grade, where they're actually exposed to what multiplication looks like through symbols. Today, our focus is really going to be looking at word problems and being able to recognize that this is a situation where multiplication is happening. So let's go ahead and get to a few of the things that I'm going to need you to grab for today. So the first thing I need you to grab is either a notebook or some loose leaf paper. And I also need you to grab something to write with. A marker, a pencil, or a pen will be something that you'll be using throughout today's lesson. So let's get started with our review. And one of the things that we need to make sure that we really understand as we review is our academic language that we'll be using through our unit. So we're going to go ahead and start with our vocabulary words. And the first vocabulary word that we're going to look at is equal groups. So what does it mean to have equal groups? Well, I don't know about you guys, but when I go to the store with my family, I want to make sure that I get the same amount of something that they get. So for example, if I go to the store with my kids and Sophia wants 2 candy bars and Cooper just wants 1, they're not equal groups. They each want the same amount. So we're looking at equal groups. And equal groups looks like this. And what I can see is the green circles represent my groups, and the stars represent how many are in each group. So when I look at this, I can see that the first group has 3 stars, the second group has 3 stars, and each of the next 2 groups also have 3. So I can see the representation of equal groups here. So what do we know? We know that 4 groups of 3 stars is going to be the same as 12 stars. So when we think about equal groups, we are really thinking about groups that are each composed of the same number of an item or the same number of objects. So those are equal groups. So we're going to use that vocabulary throughout our lesson today. Our next vocabulary word that we're going to want to look at is repeated addition. So remember I said that we're not going to be necessarily using the multiplication symbol today, but we're going to learn a couple of other strategies to use, and one of those strategies is repeated addition. So what's that mean? When I repeat something, it happens over and over and over again. And then I'm going to be using addition, which is a joining of items together. And it looks very much like this. This is my example. 4 and 4 and 4. That's repeated addition. I am repeatedly adding the same number of groups or objects. So here's our definition for repeated addition. It's joining equal groups of objects. So let's move into what this looks like in a real world example. And boys and girls, I'd really like you to draw this graphic on your table. So when we talk about equal groups, we need to start thinking about things that come in groups. So think about that for a second. What are some items that come in groups? So when I think of groups, I really start thinking about items that come in groups of 2. So go ahead and write that in your chart on your paper. So what kinds of things come in groups of 2s? I know I have 2 ears and I have 2 eyes, but what are some other things that come in groups of 2? And what I think about when I think about groups of 2 is 2 shoes, because I like shoes. So 2 shoes in 1 pair. Okay? So what else can you think about? And you can go ahead and add that to your anchor chart as well. Things that come in 2s. I know I have 2 thumbs too. The next thing I think about when I think about real world examples are things that come in groups of 4. So I'm wondering what you think of when you think of things that come in groups of 4. I think about the legs on a table or legs on chairs. Those things come in groups of 4. But I also think about a square. So when I think about a square, I know that on the square that I have 4 sides. So I know that if I have more than one square, I can repeatedly add the sides to figure out how many sides I have. The last example that we're going to generate is when we think about things that come in groups of 5. What do you think about? I think about 5 fingers, 5 toes, $5, okay? But the other representation that I think about is 5 petals in a flower. So when I think about 5 petals in a flower, if I have more than one flower, the flower is my groups and the petals are how many are in each of those flowers. So we've had an opportunity to look at the vocabulary that we're going to use today, and we've had an opportunity to look at the real world examples that we're going to use today. The last thing that we want to review before we get into our lesson is our 3-read strategy. And when we use our 3-read strategy, this is to help us comprehend and understand what's happening in a word problem. If you remember from today that we're going to model, create, and describe contextual multiplication situations. So we are really going to be able to recognize by the end of the day if a word problem or a math story is actually a multiplication math story. So the 3-read strategy is going to help us understand what's happening in a story and be able to figure out, am I adding, am I repeatedly adding, or do I think I might need to multiply? So let's continue to review the 3-read strategy. We have done this before if you've watched other videos. If you're new to us today, that's okay. Let's review the 3 reads. So the first time that we read a math story, we want to focus on what is this math story about? We're thinking about the characters and the items in the story. The second time that we read the math story, we want to know, what is the question? What do I need to find out? Because ultimately, when we're solving a math story, we're trying to figure out an answer to something. And then the last time that we read the math story, we want to focus on, what do I need to know and what information is this word problem giving me? So this 3-read strategy helps us slow down and comprehend the word problem instead of just focusing on the numbers and joining them all together. So let's go ahead and get ready to transition into our Let's Learn strategies for today. So go ahead and grab a clean sheet of paper and a writing utensil, and we're going to go ahead and get started with that. Boys and girls, as we begin our Let's Learn section, go ahead and pull out that paper and that pencil or the marker. And what I need you to do is I need you to draw this box on your paper as we begin to go through our 3-read strategy to help us understand our math problem of the day. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Remember on our Let's Learn that the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to think about, what is this story about? So let's go ahead and get started with reading our problem. Annalise has 3 packs of pens. Each pack has 4 pens. How many total pens did Annalise buy? So what is this story about? We know that our main character is Annalise, and we also know that she's working with pens. She's bought some packs of pens. So what is our story about? Our story, and go ahead and write this down, is about Annalise and her pens. Let's read it our second time using our second step in the 3-read strategy, which is, what do we need to find out? That means I probably need to pay attention a little closer to what the question is asking me. So let's go ahead and read it one more time. Annalise has 3 packs of pens. Each pack has 4 pens. How many pens how many total pens did Annalise buy? So she's got packs. Each pack has something, but it's asking me for the total pens that she bought. Okay, so what I'm trying to find out is how many pens does Annalise have? And now for our third read. We're going to read this again for what we know. So let's go ahead and get started. Annalise has 3 packs of pens. Each pack has 4 pens. How many total pens did Annalise buy? So what do we know? We know that she has 3 packs of pens, and each pack has 4 pens. So that answers our what do we know question. We know she has 3 packs, and we know that there's 4 pens in each of those packs. So now that we've got a really good understanding of the information that's in our math story, I'm wondering if some of you started creating a mental picture of what this looks like. So we're going to go ahead, and I want you to draw a box for your model, and we're going to go ahead and start modeling this story problem using some pictures. So the first thing that I think about when I read this was the 3 packs. And I know that when I go to the store and I need some new pens, I can see the pens hanging on the shelf. So I know that the pens come in packs. And how many packs did we have? We had 3. So I know that I've got these groups of pens. So how many packs? We have the 3. So these squares are going to represent my 3 packs of pens that I bought at the store, or that Annalise bought at the store. The next thing said that each pack has 4 pens. Okay, so I know that those pens aren't just laying around everywhere. They're actually inside each of these groups. So when I picture this, I can see these 4 pens in the first package, which is a group. I can see another 4 pens in the second package. And I know that I have one more package of 4 pencils. So now I have a really good idea of what this looks like. And so if you're at home and you're drawing this, you can just draw a square and 4 lines in each square, or you could draw a square with the number 4 in it. Those are both additional representations of what is happening in our problem. And I can tell that I have, remember that vocabulary from earlier, I have equal groups. And each group has the same quantity. So I'm wondering if you, what this looks like in repeated addition. So on your paper, put the repeated addition. And when I think about this, what I'm recognizing is that this is 4 and 4 and 4, and I can represent that like this. Okay, so we've done our model, we've done our repeated addition. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like using equal jumps on a number line. So as we do this, where did we start? We went to the store because Annalise needed packs of pencils. So she didn't have any pens at home. So we know she started her day with no pens. So how many pens are in the first pack? We know that she bought 1 pack. And that 1 pack had how many pencils in it? It had 4. We know that she bought another pack. That had 4. So this is my second pack. And 4 and 4 is the same as 8. And are we done? Or we need our last pack. She has 1 more pack. So this is the third pack. And it has 4. And so we can use repeated addition again. 8 and 4 is the same as 12. So I know right now that Annalise bought how many pens? She bought a total of 12 pens. So let's go ahead and take this one step further and let's describe, using our sentence here, what we did. So boys and girls, on your paper, I need you to go ahead and start writing. There are, how many groups did we see when we read our word problem? If you said 3, that's correct. We had 3 packs of pens. So there are 3 groups, and how many pens were in each group? Do y'all see it here? If you said 4 pens, that's correct. So our first sentence says, there are 3 groups of 4 pens. Blank groups of blank is the same as blank altogether. Okay, so how many packs do we have, or groups? Remember, our packs are representing our groups. So 3 groups of, and how many are in each group? There were 4, is the same as, what did we say? We said it was the same as 12 altogether. So Annalise bought how many pens, everybody? She bought 12 pens. Okay, boys and girls, we have reviewed our academic vocabulary for the day. We've started creating an anchor chart of real-world examples of items that come in groups. We've used our 3-read strategy to help us understand our math problem for today. And then we were able to represent our math story using a model, repeated addition, solved it using an open number line, and we were able to contextually write out what process we followed. So we've done a lot of work today. The next piece that's coming up is our Let's Practice piece. As you get ready to look at your practice problem, I want you to reach out to an adult or somebody at home who can get their hands on a camera so that you can take a couple of pictures of the problems that are going to be coming up. Let's look at our practice problem. Represent the following number story. Represent the story using equal groups. Then use repeated addition and skip counting on a number line to find the answer. Use the sentence frame to describe the math story. Remember to use the 3-read strategy to understand the story. Our problem today. Cole's bookshelf has 4 shelves. Each shelf has 5 books. How many books are there in Michael's bookshelf? Your sentence frame. There are blank groups of blank. Blank groups of blank is the same as blank altogether. Boys and girls, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for joining me today. Should you have any questions about today's lessons, please feel free to reach out to your teacher. Parents, if you would like additional resources to support today's learning, please visit our Houston ISD at Home webpage. My name is Tracy Fox, and I'm wishing you an amazing math day.